So in today's video, I'm actually going to be teaching the basics of our attraction, comfort, and arousal model that we teach here at Social Freedom to give you guys a better understanding of female psychology and give you a better understanding of what you need to be implementing or at least eliciting emotionally from the women that you're meeting in order to have more abundance in your dating lives. Now, this could be implemented through cold approach in terms of like your daytime interactions or at clubs or in social networks or even just dates. This stuff that I'm about to talk about is very important for all interactions with women if you are wanting to have and build romantic connections. So let's go through the basics, and that's what I'm going to cover today. So we have attraction or value, we have comfort or investment, and we also have sexual tension and arousal. All three emotions girls need to feel in order to go home with you or be open to actually exploring a connection with you. Now, if you don't implement one of these things or she doesn't experience one of these sensations or emotions with you, then what happens? You end up in the friend zone. And generally what happens here is like, let's look at the typical guy. Generally, guys are good at building one or two of these things, but not all three. So for example, the guys that generally get friend zoned a lot, you're probably really good at building comfort and investment. Okay, it's like the fast track to the friend zone because there's not enough attraction and there's not enough arousal. Some guys are actually really good at actually building sexual tension and showing a lot of their sexual intent and being straightforward, but there's no comfort. Some guys are also very good at building attraction and being like that cool, fun, charismatic guy, but then they're a little uncalibrated, so they lack comfort, and then they also don't know how to move things forward to build arousal. And you can see the issues here. This is the fast track to the friend zone or the fast track to the creep zone where you aren't actually able to calibrate effectively to actually have the girls feel attracted, comfortable, and aroused in your presence and want to actually, hook up with you or, potentially date you. So I'm going to go through the basics of attraction, the basics of comfort, and the basics of arousal. So that way when you're out there doing cold approach, you can be thinking to yourself, okay, cool. After every interaction, if it went well and if it went poorly, what could potentially be missing, what could potentially be added to make things more optimal and actually just have more success in general. Cool, let's look at attraction. Attraction is very simple. Let's look at the most surface level stuff around attraction. Attraction at the very beginning base level of this is pretty much just looks, aesthetic, SMV, sexual market value. Do you dress well? Are you well groomed? Do you have good hygiene? Are you going to the gym? Do you look fit and healthy? Have you worked on your physique? These are all very important things in terms of building attraction at the initial stages. If you haven't got that handled yet, I highly recommend that you do. Now, the second form of attraction, we need to look into the next level of this in terms of behaviors, is actually our sub-communications or our body language. 70% of all human communication is non-verbal. 20% is actually tonality and 10% is what we actually say. So understanding that, if we want to have more success with women and more success in dating and more success with people in general, we want to be perceived as more attractive and cool and charismatic and fun and be that guy, we need to have good sub-communications. So when you're interacting with people, and especially women, we want to make sure that we are holding laser strong eye contact. We have relaxed, friendly, facial expressions with a big smile. We want to make sure that our body language is squared up. We have no self-soothing behaviors. We're making sure that we're grounded and relaxed, and our movements are a little bit slower, controlled, and purposeful. This is also going to build a lot of attraction when meeting women and just people in general. Men will also respect good subcomms. We can't help it. It's a biological thing. Body language is very important. Now, the next addition to attraction is more of the emotional attraction that can be developed through social skills and a couple of different flirtation techniques that can be implemented in interactions as well, such as teasing, role plays, push-pulls, disqualifiers, challenging. All these little things that you can do when you communicate correctly and you do it in a fun, playful, detached from outcome way will also build a lot of attraction. Another concept in terms of building attraction verbally too, in terms of your expression, is self-amusement, having fun, letting go, expressing yourself authentically. These things are also very important in terms of building attraction. So make sure that you're actually sitting there in your interactions with these women, and are you actually implementing these behaviors when interacting with people? Now, other forms of attraction too is having high levels of confidence. Are you speaking with confidence and conviction? Are you leading? Are you being dominant? Are you moving things forward? There's a variety of other behaviors that are also very attractive for women, biologically and evolutionary, that we need to be implementing as well to build attraction. Now, I'm only going to go through the basics in this video. There's actually a huge catalog of different things that you can do to elicit attraction, but these are some of the fundamentals, and that's what I wanted to cover in today's video. Cool, so that's attraction. So we want to make sure that we're implementing all of those things in all of our cold approach interactions to generate a shit ton of attraction. So that pillar is now complete, and now we can focus on the comfort pillar. All right, so comfort is something that's also very important. So once the girl's actually attracted to you, she sees you're a guy of value, she thinks you're cool, she sees you as the type of guy that she would potentially date, then we actually need to get her comfortable with us, which, if we look at the pillars here, it's very simple. Investment. The amount of time that's spent with the girl is very important. So for example, if it's in a cold approach interaction during the day, if we want to build the necessary amount of comfort to actually, get that girl out on a second date, our interactions don't need to be like 2 minutes to 30 seconds. It's not long enough. It's not going to build enough comfort. What we want to do is we want to extend our conversations and our interactions to like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The longer, the better. This is also why we push on instant dates with cold approach during the day, especially because the more time spent, the more investment you will build, the more comfortable she will feel. Another thing you need to be focusing on too in terms of levels of comfort is actual connection. And the way that we actually develop connection is through actually getting to know someone, being genuinely curious and getting that person to open up about them as an individual. And the way that we teach this is throughout level 1, level 2, and level 3 questions. Surface level questions, personal questions, and emotional questions. These are designed to elicit what we call emotional connection, which also builds investment, which also primarily builds comfort. Now, the other aspect to this is that you don't just want to be that one-sided, one-dimensional guy that only has the ability to actually get people to open up to them. We also need to have an element of vulnerability and have the ability to open up to others as well. So there's two sides to the investment here. You need the other person, so the girl that you're meeting, you need her to actually open up to you, yes, but you also need to open up to her as well. Okay, now, the cool little nuance here is when you get really good with social skills and you become a very good conversationalist, and if you're deep in your masculine, generally what's going to happen here is you usually elicit a little bit more investment and openness from the women. So let's say, like in terms of percentages, 70% of the time they're going to actually be opening up more to you than you open up to them. But 30% of the time you do need to actually be telling stories about your life, talk about some of your maybe some of like your basic vulnerabilities, what you were like in school or in your childhood, or what your relationship is like with your parents, or some of your passions. Talk about your purpose, talk about some of your interests. Actually express a little bit about your personality and express it in an authentic and genuine and congruent way. And this will also build a shit ton of comfort and investment and build a stronger connection as well, which is very important. Now, there are other forms of comfort and there are other forms of eliciting investment that you can implement in your interactions to build higher levels of comfort and investment in general. But these are some of the basics that you need to be focusing on. And you can look back at your interactions again and ask yourself, okay, cool, am I building enough comfort? Cool, sweet. Now let's look at the third pillar, which is very important, which is probably one of the most important pillars in terms of making interactions more man to woman, more sexual, more fun, more flirty, but actually allow you to actually, have girls looking at you as a potential dating option instead of just a friend. Arousal and sexual tension. It's very important. The girl needs to feel a little excited in front of you. She needs to feel a little aroused, a little turned on. She needs to be a little bit curious. She needs to be, having sexual thoughts of you, or at least seeing you as a potential sexual option. The only way to do that is to generate arousal. Now, how do we do that? One way, on a basic level, in terms of sub-communications, because we have to look back at body language again, is your sub-communications, your body language. In your interactions, are you squared up? Okay, let's look at cold approach for an example, and then we can go into like dates and stuff as well. Let's do cold approach. In your cold approach interactions, are you holding laser strong eye contact? Are you doing it with confidence? Are you squared up? Do you have a cheeky smile? Are you slowing down your tonality from time to time? Are you closing proximity, standing a little bit closer to her? If the answer is yes, sweet, you're building sexual tension. Same goes on dates. Are you actually making sure on your dates that you're slowly closing proximity, moving a little bit closer to her, positioning yourself in a seat or a couch or a stool where you're a little bit closer to her, and then maybe starting to implement some small escalations? Are you holding strong eye contact? Are you breaking the touch barrier? If the answer is yes, good, you're building sexual tension. Now, to look further into some of those sub-communications and body language hacks that you can use to build sexual tension, let's look at breaking the touch barrier. Now, you wouldn't do this during the day, but you would do this at clubs or other more social networks and venues where people are actually meeting potential romantic partners, and also obviously dates. Breaking the touch barrier. Are you actually introducing a bit of touch? Are you escalating? Are you putting your hand on her lap from time to time? Are you putting your arm around her? Are you giving a little playful nudge? Are you closing proximity? Are you looking at her lips from time to time as you're looking deep into her eyes and doing like some triangular gazing? Are you actually going for the kiss? Are you making excuses to groom her or touch her earrings or just do little escalations that get you closer in terms of the touch barrier and adding that necessary escalation? If you are, good, you're eliciting sexual tension through your body language and your behaviors. Very good. It's also another way to actually build sexual tension. Now, another way, okay, this is probably going to be my final one for you guys today, is learning how to actually sexualize your conversations. Having the ability to bring up a variety of different dating topics, but then also a variety of different sexual topics too throughout your conversations. Now, you're not necessarily going to be doing this in your cold approach interactions during the day, but you can be implementing this in your dates and also very much so in clubs. Once you've actually built up enough attraction, enough comfort, and the girl seems chill with you, she likes you, she's having fun, you guys are now starting to really open up about a variety of different topics. You can now bring up sexual topics in the conversation and actually explore them in depth. When you explore a variety of different sexual topics with a girl, as soon as you bring up the topic of sex, she can't help but start associating you with sex. So let's say, for example, you ask a girl, like, where's the craziest place you've ever had sex? And this is deep in like probably the sexualization process after you've built a lot of investment. If you ask her that question and you start talking about these topics and she starts saying like, you know, one time I had sex in an airplane, one time I had sex in an elevator on a beach, or like there was a time that I had sex in like a public toilet, if she's like a very open-minded girl. If that's the case and you guys start exploring the different experiences that she's had and you start asking questions, oh cool, who was it with? Did you enjoy yourself? What did you like about it? Once you bring up these topics in the conversation, she can't help but then start to associate you with those particular experiences. And on a subconscious level, she starts to think, oh, I wonder what it would be like to hook up with this guy, to have these types of experiences with this particular individual. And if you also start to open up and talk about some of your experiences as well, this will also be very important in terms of building sexual tension because you're both on the same level in terms of bringing up the sexual topics. And it creates a lot of sexual tension and arousal, which is also very important. One of the biggest things that I see with guys is they go on dates or they meet girls and they get the famous text message saying, hey, listen, like I had an amazing time with you on that date, or like I spent an amazing night with you at the club last weekend, but honestly, I just didn't feel a connection. I just didn't feel chemistry. When girls are saying this, it's usually because there was attraction there. She did like you, she was attracted, she saw value, she was comfortable, you know, she wanted to spend more time with you, she did feel invested, but she just didn't feel aroused. There was no sexual tension. So if you can start to implement some of these little things to generate arousal within her, then that's what's actually going to allow you to be perceived as a potential sexual option, and you no longer get friend zoned either. So it's very important that you implement a variety of these different things. Now, these are just the basics, guys. I could cover a variety of different things and categorize a bunch of different stuff for you to pretty much give you everything that you need to know, but I can't cover it just in this video. So if you would like to find out more, you have two options. One, you can join our private Facebook group where we have hundreds of articles and a heap more free content that we actually can't post here on YouTube. So if you want to get access to a lot of that stuff, then click the link in the description to join our free Facebook group. Or two, if you really like to take this shit to the next level and like to find out a little bit more about female psychology and learn how to have far more success with women in general through the process of cold approach, then you're more than welcome to inquire about any of our coaching services, such as our live 5-day immersion program, which is an in-person workshop, which we run all around the world, or our 12-week online mentorship program, Unleashed, which is our group coaching that we do online over Zoom. And if you guys would like to inquire about that, there's a link in the description below where you can book a free consultation call with either myself, Ben, or someone for our team to inquire about any of our coaching services. Cool. But either way, boys, if you guys have enjoyed this type of dating and self-development content, please leave a like, subscribe, hit that little notification bell, leave a comment if you enjoyed yourself, and in the future, I will see you boys in the next video.